Hello, Moogles and Cactuars, it's MD, and today marks 80 days since the release of Final Fantasy War of the Visions. In today's video, I'd like to compare my paid account versus my free account after 80 days and where each one is at. First, let's take a look at my paid account. And while I'm not a whale by any stretch of the imagination, I have sunk around $400 into this account. Let's jump straight into the unit. When I started this account, I pulled Ayaka as my first ultra rare and quickly followed up with Eileen. Of course, the Fancred event was going at the release of the game, so I also managed to get Fancred. Soon after, I was able to pull Rob and King LD from packs. But then I opened my purse strings a little bit when the Orlando event came out and managed to get Orlando, and in the process of pulling for Orlando, ended up with Stern as well. Since then, I've been able to pull Mashari, Gilgamesh, Ziza, and of course, lately, Lucia, giving this account a grand total of 11 ultra rare units to work with. As you can see, I've spent most of my resources in leveling up Orlando, Ayaka, and Stern, with a little bit smaller focus being placed on Gilgamesh and now Lucia. This account does okay in player versus player arena, but somewhat struggles because I never developed any type of tank unit. Most people opt to develop Mont's character, where I didn't really put the focus into Mont's character and instead, and by mistake, spent a lot of time on this character. Since then, I've really dumped more resources when we're talking about mega rare characters into Gafgarian. Now, the account still doesn't have a true tank character. However, I'm hoping that Exvius, when the new Final Fantasy Tactics update drops, will provide me a tank for this account that will help in player versus player arena. Jumping over to my free-to-play account, let's look at the unit roster there. When I first started this account, I initially pulled Medina, which was great for building my player rank as she basically dominates story mode. On this account, I ended up saving all my Visor for when Orlando was released, and in the process of trying to draw Orlando, I ended up drawing Rob, Engelbert, and Eldie. Now, of those three, Engelbert has been a great addition to my free-to-play account as one of the game's premier tank characters. While I did not end up pulling Orlando with this free-to-play account, what I did was take advantage of the fact that they basically gave Ramza to everybody for free as long as you drew on his banner enough times, so I saved just enough Visor to make sure that I could get Ramza. In the process of drawing for Ramza, I ended up getting what I would call a god pull, where I got 2 Ramzas in the same pull and Eileen in addition to the Ramza Scion card. So I got 4 ultra rares in one pull. Thank you, RNG. From there, I managed to pull Frederica on one of the weekly free pulls for 0 Visor. And I only had to use 2 pulls on the Lucia banner to end up pulling Lucia and Ayaka. That brings the total to 9 ultra rare units on my free-to-play account, including one of the best tank characters in the game, one of the best support characters in the game, and a great option of a few different units to pair with those two in Medina, Lucia, or Frederica when I'm able to level them all the way up. I did end up making the same mistake on my free-to-play account in leveling up this terrible character, but as you can see, I've since shifted the focus to Gafgarian. Overall, both accounts' unit rosters are pretty impressive. And the idea of running Engelbert with Lucia and Frederica and player vs. player has me licking my chops. The only big downside to the free-to-play account, which is very real compared to a paid account, is the Rainbow Sphere and Rainbow Fragment gate that you come up against. As you can see here, many of my ultra rare characters cannot be awakened more than they currently are because I do not have the means to get those rainbow fragments that I need to get past that gate, which is holding this account back just a little bit. Now that we've looked at the units for both accounts, let's go ahead and look at the vision cards for both accounts. Now, my paid account's vision cards aren't really that great, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. Yes, I have 6 ultra rare vision cards, however only one of them is what I would consider to be one of the more elite level vision cards in Ramza's Scion card. Other than that, you can see that it's really not that great of a roster of vision cards considering how many times I've pulled on banners. You probably would expect to have a little bit better results. Sometimes the RNG just isn't on your side. Coming back to my free account, let's take a look at the vision cards here. You can see on this account, I actually have 5 ultra rare vision cards, and if I'm to be completely honest, the vision cards on this account are, in my opinion, much better and more useful than the vision cards on my paid account. Both accounts have Ramza's Scion card, but this account also has Odin, as well as the Echoing Screams ultra rare vision card, both which are very useful in terms of their bestowed and party ability effects. If I had one big takeaway from comparing my paid account to my free-to-play account, it would be that there's not really that big of an advantage in spending money versus going free to play, besides the fact that you get gated a little bit with your rainbow spheres and your rainbow fragments. However, if you use those spheres and fragments strategically, you can still build quite an effective roster that's going to do you really well in player versus player and in your guild. Because the real difference between the two accounts is that my paid account has Orlando and my free-to-play doesn't. And honestly, Orlando isn't worth $400. Alright, you little tonberries, hopefully this video was a fun little dive for you in seeing a comparison between a light spending account and a free-to-play account. If you want some more nerddom content from me, go check out my other channel, IMO. Otherwise, we'll catch you next time.